Hey guys, it's Jordan, and you'll just have to excuse me. I'm on a very, very cold walk, but I wanted to share some thoughts with you on a topic that I was given to just share with you kind of from my heart. And this isn't going to be exhaustive. It's not going to be everything that you could imagine covered about this topic, but I want to talk to you about stewardship over talents. Now, what do I mean by talents? Talents in this context is going to be our gifts, our abilities. It could be spiritual gifts, and you might be saying, well, what's that? You know, if you know Jesus, you've been given a spiritual gift of some kind. You might say, well, I don't know what it is yet, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But we all have resources, whether it be time, whether it be money, whether it be commodities of some kind. We all have resources, and one of those is talents, is just our abilities, our abilities to do things, to either serve people or to accomplish things in this life, and we're set out to do those. And we as men, we need to figure out what those are, number one, and so I want to cover that a little bit. But we need to figure out really how to use them, how are we going to invest those resources, and where can we? So I just want to share like a couple of thoughts, like hopefully under 5-6 minutes, real quick. And so when I think of talents, I think of abilities and gifts, but it could be spiritual gifts too, and I would loop that in here. But really, it's like some people are really, really good at building things with their hands. Some people are really, really good with money. They're really good with investing. They're really good at turning things around, things like that. We men, we possess an array of different abilities, whether it be artistic, any of those things, anything you could really think of that could be of use or of value to others around us, that we can serve with, or that we can make a living doing. Really, if we want to boil it down, it really is just our time. What do we choose to invest our time in? And we want to invest our time in things that we're good at, that are going to be used and they're going to be profitable in some way, not necessarily with money, but are going to be the most useful. There are things that I'm bad at that if I spend my time doing them, could be kind of a waste. I might have fun doing them, but I may not accomplish a lot while doing them. So with that said, you might ask, do I have any of these gifts? And that's a legitimate question. I don't say that to make fun of anyone. I get asked that a lot, is, well, I don't know what I'm good at. How can I figure out what that is? And I want to talk about that. But first off, I want to just simply answer that and say, yes, you do have some of these talents and gifts. It says in Ephesians 2:10, and I love this because it follows right after Paul says everything that all the salvation that we're given, and this gift of salvation is all because of grace. It's not because of anything that we've done. It's not because of anything that we've put out. It's all a gift of grace. But then he says in verse 10, right after that, Ephesians 2:8 and 9 says, for by grace we've been saved through faith, and that's it. But then he says in Ephesians 2:10, and I love this, he says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. So we're created to do these good works. We're not created just to sit around, but we're not saved by them. So they don't have to become our identity, but we do have a purpose to serve. And he goes on to say, which God prepared beforehand. So before creation, he prepared these things for us to do, for you and I to do individually. And then he says that we should walk in them. So he's created these works for us to do, but they're not what we're saved from, or they're not what we're saved by. They're what we're saved in order to do. So we have these cool things that we get to do, and if we don't do them, the sad and the honest part is that someone's going to miss out. We're going to miss out on a blessing, and someone else might miss out on a blessing that only we could have provided through something that only we were created to do. I think of the parable of the talents, and I think a lot of people think about this and they think, well, I need to give money, and I need to, and that's all good. I think that we should. We preach and we teach giving and generosity and all that. But also, I think of actual talent. And so if God has handed out these talents to different people, in the story of the parable of the talents, 2 people invested it and they grew it. And I think that if we grow in our talents, we become better. And like Spider-Man, it's like with great power comes great responsibility. And if we have these big talents, we have a big responsibility to use them in the way that God has asked us to do in the best way that we can, the most efficient way that we can, so that we can accomplish more. But the third guy didn't use it. He just buried it, and he didn't use it. And I don't want to be that guy that doesn't use the talent that God has given me. So how can we figure out what these talents and gifts are? Because that's really the big question, is like, how do I figure out what I'm good at? How do I figure out what God has maybe gifted me with as a spiritual gift or gifts? And the truth is the best thing that we can do is get around community, because other people's perspective may not be better, but it's different. And they can tell us, hey man, you're really good at this. That's what you need to pursue. I think you should really look into that and do that. Or they can say like, hey man, what you're doing really isn't bringing you joy, and I think you'd be better at something else. And so what kind of community can we do that in? We have these hymn events coming up. We have church that we have, I mean, realistically, it could just be you hanging out with another guy that really encourages you, and asking them, like, what do you think I'm good at? What do you think I could do? And I'm not just talking about church. This could be in your career. It could be in your family. And then figuring out how to use them. Where could we use these gifts at? Because it'd be really easy just to say like, well, yeah, just serve in the church. That's the only place to do it. But that's not the truth. The truth is that we need to serve our families with these talents, that we need to serve our communities with these talents. We need to serve our friends with these talents that we have, and we can make a living with some of these talents that we have. And we can, I mean, there's tons of things that people do that they do for a living, but they also donate their time in other avenues. So I'm not just talking about church. I think church is an awesome place to serve. It's an awesome place to serve each other, to get to know each other, and to figure out how we can better use those talents. So I would encourage you in that. Use your talents well, use them wisely, and invest them in ways that are going to show a return, not just in money, but show a return in kingdom growth, to show a return in getting other people to help other people. Because if we use our time well, we can encourage each other, and we can really make our community, our church, and the people around us a better place. So that's my encouragement to you guys.